Hey guys, November 27th, 2018. It's really early in the morning, 3:30 a.m. almost. I want to talk MagneGas. It went up 13% almost, especially after hours. It went up another 3%, and it was exactly like I told you guys. It was no news, but they wanted to fluctuate the market. And if you looked at the individual candlesticks, there was like 2 million shares that were bought off, and 1 million shares just within the 15-minute span. It's a bummer. I missed out when it was at 0.255. I missed out big time because I was asleep. You always got to wake up. And for the people that are at work, I feel bad for you guys because I know you're probably in your cubicles. And if your boss calls you in or you have a meeting, you can come out of that meeting realizing that you missed out of an opportunity. It's happened to me when I first started. For a year, I worked in an office type setting. I had a lot of free time where I could research and some downtime when I was working, and I was able to do more research and do my buys and sells. It just allowed me. But there was sometimes where you have those meetings where you get out of the meeting and you're just like, oh my god, I should have bought it when it dipped down low. MagnaGas had no news, and usually it was going to slip up. But I told you if the day traders wanted to fluctuate the market, they could, and I feel like that's what they did. It was a big part, in part, because the market as a whole took a big bump upward. That cough right there is my girlfriend on the side. She's doing her homework, and she's doing it at the last minute, and it's due at 8 a.m. So just like when I was at college, I waited to the last minute to do my papers. But the market as a whole went up, and I put it on Twitter. It's just for no reason, absolutely no reason. I mean, we are oversold in a lot of ways. Kramer was talking about it. If you guys follow him on Twitter or you guys look at him, a lot of people don't give him the credit that he has. He can't get it all right, but he was talking about, just goes up for no reason. And that's what it did. The market went up for no reason. We were completely oversold. I feel like it went up because the day traders realize that in December there's going to be the Fed more than likely will hike up the interest rate, and that's when it will dip back down. But there's too much of a downside. I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep repeating it so that you guys have it in your head. Sometimes I'll look at my own videos just to remind myself of what my plan is, so I know that there's gonna be a hike, and I don't think that the trade war is gonna be resolved completely. You will see. I definitely can predict you will see if he meets up with China or if there's talks. He'll probably tweet that it looks good or promise like short, vague things, and even that will bump up the market with just hopes, but it more than likely be false hopes. Trump, like just like in North Korea when he was fighting with Kim Jong Un, there was a lot of fear that we were going to go to war and everything, and it turned out to be nothing. But this is one of those cases with the trade war that he's serious about this because he knows that we're getting screwed over, and it's a bad deal. Don't forget. I want to talk about mushrooms, not like the psychedelic, but the edible kind. I've been thinking, my unemployed self have been thinking a lot about what the new investments should be, what the new jump, what sector of the stock market's gonna be go up, and a lot of people are gonna start looking at it, and it's definitely gonna be mushrooms. But I was told you guys that I was gonna unbox the silver that I purchased, and like I said before, I only purchase silver on the spot. I never gonna purchase silver at a premium price how they usually do. You see a lot of those gold coins where it's like, oh, this is a special edition coin, and it has like Abraham Lincoln, or the new ones, it has like Han Solo, and it's like because of the Solo movie, and they'll sell it for double the amount, claiming that it's a collector's. The people that are collecting silver, they're it's sad to say, but they're dying off because it's baby boomers. Not that many new people or millennials, Generation X, that are collecting silver. It's just so rare. I mean, maybe they were taught by their parents and they saw it, and that's how they kind of got into it. But that's such a baby boomer type of deal, and unfortunately, I can definitely see that gold and silver is going to go down. once baby boomers are just not in the market anymore because they're not going to keep their silver forever. They're going to have to sell. They're going to have to sell. Or they're just like my dad, where he's almost 90 and he's still not going to sell it. He's never going to sell it. It's a sentimental thing. Might maybe pass it down, but I don't like gold at all. I don't like diamonds. I said it before. Silver is okay, but I still don't like it. But the only reason that I bought it just for the just kind of like to give it a taste of what it feels like. Black Friday, I said in my last video, Black Fridays, I think it's the only time that you get it just on the spot, and I get free shipping. But this is what it was. I was opening the box thinking that it was somebody sent me from Etsy, and I was like, man, this girl sent it so quick, and it got so quick. And I was like, it's so heavy. This box is so heavy, but it's not Etsy. It was the silver, and I opened it up and I looked at it. I was like, crap, I was supposed to do this on the video, but it came in this box right here, and this it was like a little bubbly thing. This is the silver, 10 ounce. I'll try to not get the shine. I don't care about the logo, but this is what it looks like. It's heavy. Just something cool that I wanted to try out. I have 20 more ounces coming in from two different websites, and I'll show you what that looks like whenever they does come in. I'll try to remember that it's not something else. But let's talk about mushrooms. This is kind of like a special thing. Uh, I feel like this is like a big prediction that mushrooms are going to be the new cannabis, but in a different way. In a different way. Cannabis was because it was something that was illegal and people were using for drugs, and it should be legalized, in my opinion. And now people are profiting it. It's a little shaky right now because people don't know how to regulate it, especially when people have full time jobs and they work in offices. They just unfortunately they can't smoke because they won't allow them to, because there's no real devices or mechanisms where we can check to see if you've been smoking that day. It goes back to a 3-day period uh, whenever they see. But they'll clear that up. New things will come up, and it'll show you. It'll happen because there's so much profit in that. I can definitely see new companies developing a way where they'll show you if you've been smoking in the past 24 hours. And once that happens and once it's proved, then companies will start switching over to you can smoke. It's okay as long as you don't smoke prior to working. Uh, minus the really dangerous ones, like if you're a doctor, or if, those are going to take a little longer. But mushrooms is going to be the new wave. Not right now, probably within the next year, and it'll be in a different way. The psychedelics and there's 5 million different types of mushrooms species, and for us, we're very in the beginning. It's archaic. We don't understand it. It's so alien. It's like an alien species here on Earth. And I know antibiotics is made with that, but now even I use Origins. Origins is like a facial thing, and that's why my face is so shiny. I put a lot on. Or Origins, and they do a lot in mushroom. She's smiling. Mushroom, mushroom cleanser, like it's all the mushroom that they use in Origins is what right, that's what takes away my crow's feet. Makes me look at least 2 weeks younger. But it's going to be more of a medicinal purpose. But dried mushrooms, growing and putting it in bags of dried mushroom and selling it, that's going to be a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. It's going to boom. And I thought that because I was talking to my mom. She goes to Whole Foods. She's a holistic nutritionist, and she's all about that. She's also a nurse. She's really big into that, and she'll tell you like the bags, they sell it at an expensive price. I bought portobello mushrooms, a large one, and I tried it with my mom just to see what it tastes like. It actually tastes really good, and the vitamins and minerals and the things that we get out of it, that's what's going to explode. It's going to be like the new kale. People are going to experiment on eating more mushrooms. You'll see it more in Whole Foods. You'll see it more at HEB. It's going to become a lot more in the delicacy. I know it's more popular overseas and in Europe. That's gonna you're gonna definitely see that transition within the U.S. And because of it, mushroom stocks, which there's not a lot. There's not a lot here down in the South. We have a company, it's Monterey Mushrooms. That's pretty much the monopoly at HEB and all these other places. So what I try to do is I'm trying to experiment just to see what companies have to go through, and it's just a small hobby. I bought mushroom spores, and I'm going to plant them, see if I can grow them, specifically morel mushrooms. And And if it works out, maybe sell it at a farmer's market. These things are very, very expensive, and they're not that difficult to grow. If you look at documentaries, which I have been looking at it, documentaries, they grow them in a plastic bag. They put sawdust and a few other things in a bag. They poke holes, and it grows out. They keep them in a warehouse. It's very easy to grow. There's a lot of benefit to it. The mushrooms that grow on trees is more towards a medicinal way, but I feel like it's going to be a future boom. Let's see what MagneGas does. They're due for news. It's been a while, but it doesn't surprise me because the call just happened and they've pretty much just it was an exhale of just news after news after news of whatever they had in their back pocket. They told you, and they even warned you about things ahead of time. So I can definitely see that it's going to be radio silence for a little while, but once it does, and if we get good news, it's definitely going to be a bump. I'm tempted to sell and sell for a profit, even just a part, because I would not be surprised if it drops down. If it drops down 10%, the market as a whole, I still don't trust it. I still don't trust it. I did buy UNFI. I bought a little bit of it when it was really low today, and after hours yesterday, it went up 15%. Robinhood showed it that it went up 15%, but when you look on Google, it went right back down. It was only for like a split second. So Robinhood kind of still says it's 15% up, but it just dropped down. That was like a weird thing. Maybe a huge buy and a huge sell. Might be bots as well. But UNFI is definitely oversold. And if it was any other atmosphere or a different market right now, if it wasn't a bear market and people weren't afraid and it wasn't so many sell-offs, UNFI is just due for at least it can at least go 50% higher. And I also wanted to talk about the people that are just starting off in the stock market. I got dropped off at I was in an Uber because I dropped off my Ford for a recall because Ford sucks right now, and I took an Uber home because I wasn't about to take the shuttle with like 5 other people, and God knows how long it's gonna take. So I took an Uber home, and I met somebody at the Uber. Case, I hope I'm saying it right. He's subscribed, and we were talking about the stock market. We even parked outside my house for a little while, and he just he hasn't jumped into the stock market. And my first reaction was just don't do it. And really the reason is because there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn, and I know what it feels like. I've only been doing it for a month. I mean a year and 3 months, but I've learned so much within that amount of span. And advice that I would give is just don't put all your money just now, even if it's very, very tempting, because you're gonna have that FOMO, the fear of missing out. But put in a little bit so that you can kind of get an understanding of it, so you can understand the emotional ride that you get when you're winning and when you're losing. But don't get caught up in it, because I see a lot like my mom. She'll she does a stock market. She does it in a lower capacity than I do, and she invested $100 in a penny stock, and it went up 60%. And she's like, "Should I sell?" And I'm like, "Of course you should sell." Like 60%. But the reason that she's not so gung ho about selling is because she's all like, "Well, it's only $60." And that's the bad thing when you're first starting off, or when you're only investing a little bit. Yes, I recommend only investing a little bit when you're first starting off, because you don't want to lose all your money. But the bad thing about it is, if you invest $100 in a stock and it goes up 60%, which is crazy. If you tell anyone else that has a stock, and you were to say, "Hey, my stock went up 60%," they would be high-fiving you. They would be so excited. They'd be like, "Dude, that's crazy and that's amazing. That's very, very rare. Tell me you sold it." But when you're first starting off and you're only betting about $100 in a company, $60 isn't anything in your personal life. It's nothing. So you have a tendency to be like, "Well, I'm just going to keep it in if it gets to 100." But that'll get to 100 and you're just like, "It's just $100." So you'll keep it. And eventually what's going to happen is the stock will go right back down. 90% of the chance is going to go right back down. And that $60 that you had to begin with, it's just gone. It's not even going to have it. So if you're going to start off in the stock market and you don't have that much money in it, Number 1, don't get caught up emotionally. If you lost $50, it's just $50. I've lost 15K in within 5 minutes. So to compare, like, uh, see the truth when what you're doing. If you lose $100, it's just $100. And if it's that much to you, if even if you lose like $500, it's just $500. Like, if it's hurting you that much, you should not be investing. But if you're going to invest little portions in companies because you're starting off and you're learning, don't look at the money that you're making, look at the percentage. You should shift your game as not with money. Don't tell yourself, "Well, I made $300 this month," and because part of your brain's going to be like, "It's just $300. That's nothing." But if you start looking at it as, "Wow, my portfolio went up 23% this month," then you're going to start seeing it the way you should. Then you're going to start making the decisions and moves the way that you should. So if you have a stock and especially the penny stocks, are going to be so volatile, and it goes up 60%. I mean, if you sell it and you made 60% bump in just one stock, that's incredible. Like, you should be so incredibly happy, and sell it and be happy because you've played the game and you jumped up in percentage. You've jumped up. So if you're betting low money, look at percentage. If you're betting high money, then you're gonna start realizing that it's not so much about percentage, it's about the money that you're coming in. So if I invested like in MagneGas, if I have I think like 9,000 in MagneGas, so it went up 13%. So that's gonna be about, $800, $900. So I'm gonna start thinking, 900, that's pretty good. If I sell, I mean, that's almost like 1K. So that'll be a win. I can wait and then rebuy when it goes back down. And then I just start weighing my options. So for me, uh, once you start getting into more and more money, you're going to think like 10%, that's not that big. 10% not that big. Like, you start looking at the price tag. So shift your game so that it's a game. Don't look at it as you're making money. Look at it as if you're winning and you're beating other people, regardless of what you have. But especially if you're just investing so little within companies, and do not get emotionally attached. If you lose, if you win, right now it's not a good time to invest because we're at a bear market. Everything is so volatile. The market as a whole kind of seems like a penny stock. Even yesterday, you see that it jumped completely up for absolutely zero reasons, just because day traders are like, you know what? All right, it's time to buy. And what I kind of feel like is happening is that, like I said, the day traders are realizing that we might have some bad news coming in, and they're gonna bump up stocks so that when it drops, they can either short it or they can see more of the impact. So they'll sell high. It's kind of like a pump and dump. They'll pump it up, they'll sell it, and then it's just to drop it even farther. Because if they are part of the sell off, then it just encourages the stock to go farther down, and it'll create fear. People will think that, like, something's super wrong. So then they'll sell. So then the stock will keep going down. People might even have margin calls saying like, hey, the money that we let you borrow, your limit, you have to have a limit so that you can keep that borrowed money. And if you don't, whatever exchange you're using or whatever brokerage you're using will literally sell your stocks if it has to for you to make up for that. So and that's the fear. So these day traders will be a part of the sell off, a part of the fear, and they'll cause stocks to plummet downward so that they can buy when it's at a super super low price. uh, it, it, I've realized in the stock market that it's more about, for me, uh, if I'm investing, like, I've put money in a company like a steel company because it was really really low. It was like a 52-week low, and yesterday I bought into it, and I get the fear that comes in where I'm gambling, because that's gambling. And the reason that it's gambling and it's not investing is because I have no clue on how that steel company is doing, and I don't like doing that. But a little bit of FOMO seeps in, and then you start wanting to play the board. But it's gambling when you don't know of a company, you haven't done your research, you're like, "Hey, is it close to bankruptcy? Are they doing good in their sales? Do they have a new product coming out?" You have no idea. It's like, what is the market like? What are their competitors like? If you have no clue what any of these answers are, then you're gambling. You're gambling. And most importantly, if you're not using that product, or if you're investing in something like what I said an example before in my other video, if somebody was investing in containers, ship containers, a company that has large ships and they transport things. I mean, if you live in the middle of the US, like so far from water, and you have no clue what that business is like, and you're investing in something like that, you're definitely going to be gambling, just because it's a penny stock. More than likely, those are penny stocks. But if you're investing, for example, on Netflix, and you have some understanding of where the company is, you realize that Netflix has borrowed tons of money, as they actually have. You realize that they used all that borrowed money for new content, and they're literally banking on the fact that these new content is going to overpower all these other, like HBO. They're going to overpower Hulu. They're trying to crush their competition, which they actually are doing. So, and if you're an investor, that if your friends ask you, "Hey, like, what do you think about Hulu?" and you can't shut up about Hulu, and you can teach them, you can go into a 2 hour monologue on, "Hey, you should watch this show, and this show's not that good, and the third season of the Last Kingdom is coming out, and and Stranger Things is coming out in November." I don't know when they're coming, but if you are that knowledgeable in the product or in the company that you're buying into, then you're no longer gambling. Now you're investing, because you're not just investing your money. You're kind of investing the knowledge that you're doing, the experience that you're doing, and the life that you're living. But that's why I've said it before. If you're going to invest in a stock, you can sleep better at night, and you just feel so much safer when you actually use the product, or you have an understanding of the product that you're buying into. So the company that I bought into, the steel company, I know a little bit about what's going on. I know that there's, the whole trade war. I know that, but I know that it's completely oversold. It's almost down to like a penny stock, the one that I invested in. But I was gambling, and I didn't feel right about it. I didn't. It went down even a little more than, and it's, even though it's kind of safe, where I know that I could just wait a little bit and it'll jump right back up. But I got to remind myself not to do those trades, not to jump into that thing. So what I'm doing is I'm specializing in few companies. Like, if you want to talk about MagneGas, which it wasn't just a company that I just jumped into. I looked at like 100 different penny stocks, and and it was just hours and hours and hours of me looking through their finances, looking through what kind of products these penny stocks are doing, and just, one after the other, until I finally found MagneGas. And then I've tried to become an expert into that company. So even if I haven't even seen the company lately or anything, I know so much about their product, so much about what's happening. I know that the CEO, moved to another C position. I know that the CFO took over. I know that they're doing some, maritime 2020, conference coming up. I know all these things, and that's why I'm investing in the company, and not just investing in the company, even if I don't have money in the company. Like a few weeks ago, I had nothing in the company, but I'm still investing in it, because I'm at a waiting stance where I'm waiting for it to drop down to a number or a price that I believe that is a valid price, or it's oversold, so that I can jump in. And the only reason that I'm investing is not because I'm putting my emotions into it, and I'm becoming some kind of like cheerleader for the company. Do not turn into that. Never fall in love with your stocks. Never fall in love with the companies that you're looking at. Always have both hate and admiration towards the companies that you're looking at, because that'll save you. And once news comes in, or something happens where it fluctuates the price completely up, and it jumps 60%, that hate towards the company, towards the negative sides of what the company has, will cause you to realize, and it'll come into your head, and it'll give you an instinct to say, all right, just an example, it reached 50 cents. it's not worth that much. And so you'll know that once it hits a resistance level that you're like, all right, this is actually a good resistance. It's not the chances of it going farther up than that is just so slim, and that's where you can sell. So you're riding the waves of these day traders and these bots that are doing. Don't fall in love with the stocks that you're doing. And if you are starting off, you have to you have to do research. You have to learn. If you don't have the time, if you don't have the time, I understand that, you have an app on your phone probably, and you've put in like a couple grand like playing money, and you're doing that. You're thinking it's probably better than playing some video game on your phone. It's more of an adult thing to do, but you have to realize that if you don't have an understanding of the companies that you're investing in, it's gambling. You are gambling. Yeah, at the very least, if you're going to invest in companies, let it be companies that have products that you actually like, and most importantly, let them be oversold. Let it be low. If you look at news articles, hopefully you'll see news articles saying that like uh, that it's oversold. That they don't understand why so much is selling. And if you ever see a company like of a Papa John's happens, where Papa John's the CEO, uh, it was like a false news. It wasn't even true that he said the N word, and stocks dip and plummet downward. Those are the best ones, because the reason that the stock went down was not because of like managerial reasons, or like a CEO left the company, or they're just not making money. It's for artificial reasons, and those are the good times to jump into those companies, when it's not, it's dumb reasons, in other words. But or like when Tesla smoked marijuana on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then it caused them uh, just a domino effect of all these things. People, baby boomers especially, they started second guessing him. They started distrusting him, and it was more of an image. And the SEC started investigating them. So, and it was just like a domino effect downward, and that caused Tesla to go from like almost $400 to about $250. So, and that's a huge dip. And the stock dipped not because of some product issue, or something that should do with the numbers. It actually dipped just to some artificial reasons. So, and Facebook can happen the same thing, but they actually have actual problems with what they're doing. And I don't like Facebook because I don't like everybody in your business, but I also don't like Facebook because I have a theory that there's just so many hackers from Russia and China that are just so involved with it, that they have ruined the platform for so many people. And all these young people, and the baby boomers, and the people that are just they're clicky happy, they'll click on anything on Facebook, and they do it. They are on Facebook for so long that it's only a matter of time for you to click on the wrong thing, and it can ruin everything. They can get your bank account. They can do everything. But I'll end with that, and just remember, take a look at, if you have time, mushrooms, like the edible kind companies. If any of you guys see a company that's starting off, I mean, I try to even scour pink sheets. Those are the very dangerous stocks, where they're not in the market. They don't have to put in as much filing. They don't even have to tell you how much they're making. Those companies are the ones where you really have to do your research, especially hoping that they have a website. You can Google them. You can see it on Google Maps that they actually have a building. And if it's a gamble, but there's more of an upside. There's more of a possibility of making a lot of money, because I mean, let's face it, I'm not to a place. If I had millions and millions of dollars in the stock market, I could live off of dividends and I can be happy with it. If I have millions and millions of dollars in the stock market, and one of my stocks goes up 5%, that's fantastic. But if you don't have like $1 million, then 5% isn't anything. 5% isn't anything. So until then, I was even looking at Warren Buffett. It was an article about Warren Buffett, and when he first started off, he was doing pink sheet stocks. I mean, he was doing, and you always see those stories about people that had $10,000 and it turned it into 3 million, 5 million, into 10 million. And then they do that cheesy thing where they have those ads where they're trying to get people to get their DVDs or start their classes. This is what happens. So these guys, they start off with $10,000. They got super lucky, they investing in penny stocks. It's always penny stocks. They invest in penny stocks and they made it huge, and they realized what the game is and how to work it. Usually, it's the strategy in the same strategy that I'm kind of doing. They'll focus on only one or two stocks, and they become a professional at those one or two stocks. And sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a little bit of patience, but they use news, even if it's dumb news and like not real news. Like, for example, when MagneGas said that they changed their name, and MagneGas jumped from 15 cents to all the way up to, at one point, it was at 74 cents just because they changed the name. That is not news. They're not making more money. They're not doing anything. That's like if I change my name and everybody just starts liking me more because just because I changed my this, you know, it nothing that's such a dumb reason. But what causes is the company didn't improve. What you're seeing is penny stock. I'm sorry, day traders and those people that have got rich. They are manipulating the market. They are purposely so. At first, they have to ride the wave. So that's what we're doing. We're riding the wave. The manipulators. Some BS news comes out. MagnaGas jumps up. We jump up with it. You have to sell. You don't know how many times I see on Yahoo where all these, God, man, I feel so bad for them, and because it's even happened to my mom, so I can say it. These idiots, where just like how it is, like they have a penny stock, they buy in, and it goes up 60% or it goes up double, and then they're like, "Oh, that's awesome. Let's wait to see it. Let's wait to see it go 3 times as much, or let's wait to see what it does next week." And it's gonna keep. No, you sell. You have to realize that there's gonna be a resistance. That even before it hits the resistance, even your exchange is not going to catch it on the graph. You'll see the candlestick and then you'll see a gray line go above. What that's telling you is that the price that people were actually buying it at this, like if you see your little line go to 50 cents and then it goes back down, right? But if you switch your whatever brokerage you're using and it shows you gray lines, the candlesticks, the little where then you'll see it. Yeah, it stopped at 50 cents, on record, but people were actually buying it for example, at 74 cents. They were buying it so if at the time, if you put an order for about 70 cents, you could have sold yours because there was a chance that somebody's going to buy it. So, and that's what you have to do. You're going to sell. There's going to be moments in your penny stock where the news is going to come in and it's going to skyrocket up. It's going to skyrocket up, and it's going to go to just an insane amount of high, and that's where you're going to try to sell it at that peak. And then and that's why you always see like somebody, I know somebody sold MagnaGas when it went up from 15 cents to 74 cents. They sold it at 74 cents, which is an insane amount of percentage hike. I sold it at 54 because I sold it a little bit too early. But if I would have waited just 10 more minutes, it was at 74 it was at 74 cents for about, I would say, 15 minutes. But if you go on your brokerage, whatever you're using, you'll never see MagnaGas in the last 3 weeks reach 74 cents. You won't see it unless you might turn it into the candlestick graph. Then you can see it, maybe. But and that's what I'm talking about. And you're also wanting to buy your penny stocks. You want to buy the penny stocks when the fear sets in and these day traders are manipulating the market, where it's like bad news comes up and it's like it drops down like 50%, and people are like, holy crap, and they're selling, and these bad things are happening, and people are selling it. They'll put an order in, like the number dips from 50 cents to 20 cents, right? And people are in such a panic to lose money, and they're not thinking. They'll put a 15-cent order to sell and be like, just sell it, and they'll put it way lower than what it is, and then only for like 30 minutes later, it'll just go right back up. The panic is over. But you could be one of those people that bought it at the 15-cent mark. The 15-cent mark. So what I'm doing every day is like, when I told you that I fell asleep when it reached 25 cents, like about 2 or 3 days ago. The I could have even bought it probably at 23 cents, but it didn't register at so it was just that scare moment that it dipped down where you want to buy, and I missed out on that, because I was asleep. But it's those 5 minutes that can make it or break you. It's those little 10-minute windows that you need to be diligent in watching it. That's how those day traders are making their money. And when these day traders at first they're riding the waves, they're making their money. But then they get to a point where that person that had $10,000, those crazy stories that you hear, now has about 250,000. So now that he has 250,000, he can be part of the wave. He has the muscle to cause up dips and jumps. So now he has a little bit more power. It's kind of like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett has so much power where he can cause a stock to drop or to go up just by buying. I mean, when you can buy millions of dollars worth of a stock, you can fluctuate the price. So with penny stocks, there's not that many people looking at that stock. So now if you have $500,000, you start off with 10,000, you rode the wave, but now you have $500,000. Now it's still risk, but you can cause the wave. You can put orders in to cause it to jump up for no reason. And then people are like, oh my God, it's going up. And then they'll start buying. They'll start buying. And then you can decide and be like, all right, now I'm getting out. And you can cause the downfall of the stock because you do a giant sell. With MagneGas, there's so much volatility and there's so much volume. You probably need a little more. If you had a couple of like people doing that at once and they were in cahoots, they can cause it to go down. That's the same reason why Bitcoin went down. Because just a bunch of that's my theory, a bunch of like just one percenters, a bunch of big people that had a lot of power, they bought in and they were causing it to go up, and all at once they decided now it's time to sell, and they left everybody else with the check. But if you're doing the penny stocks, realize that realize that they're fluctuating the price. And like I said, I see it on Yahoo conversations all the time. I see all these people commenting like they're like, I can't wait till MagneGas hits 50 cents. It's gonna hit 50 cents. And then the next day it hits 50 cents and then they don't sell. And the next day comes in and you see the comments of like, what happened? It went back down. Well, no, duh. Like, you're supposed to know that there's a level of resistance. You're supposed to know that there's a peak where you have to sell. That's why you're making your money. And the only way you're gonna do that, and it's gonna set into your brain, is you have to understand that you do not like the company. I don't care how much I don't care how much I research MagneGas. I have to have like a hate relationship with it, because if what happens is we start becoming cheerleaders of what we invest in, and then we start thinking that they can do no wrong. So those people that are like all in love with MagneGas, they get to a point where they won't even accept anybody else talking bad about MagneGas, even though they're making sense. And that's like the peak of the worst case scenario you can get with an emotional state. You cannot be emotional with it. You have to understand that at one point you're going to break up with whatever penny stock you have. I don't care what it is. Even if you're using Netflix to make your money and you're riding the waves of Netflix and you watch it every day. And I've said this before, or if I use a Nintendo example, I don't care if your room is completely decked out in Mario and Luigi and all this stuff. You're gonna have to break up with that stock and sell. The only way that you're going to win is if your portfolio is set to cash and you sold your stock and and that's it. You have it in cash. Then you won. The game is over. But if but if you Yeah, I would even say as far as, like, once you take the money out of it, or what I started doing too is, whenever for just a good example, the movie theaters, Cinemark, Regal, it's kind of why I put Regal as the name, because that was one of the big reasons on why I made some money. Is Regal was going down, and for no reason, and everybody thought people were going to stay home and watch Netflix, and they're not going to go outside, and they're going to be hermits, and the theaters are going to go bankrupt. And it was true at the time. Movies sucked. It was like about a year ago. It was the worst year in Hollywood. Zero movies were coming out, maybe one or two, not even. And they were having bad ratings and stuff. But as a trader, and I love going to movies, as a trader, it was such an opportunity because it was just so down. It was so low. And the movie It was about to come out in like a week and a half. And I was like, "Man, this is a lot of hype for a movie, and I think, like, it's gonna be a good movie, and I think that it's gonna prove to the market that Cinemark is not dead yet." That people are still gonna go on dates. People still wanna have that experience of going out and that night out, people still wanna do that, and there was also a huge fear that Disney was coming out with news that they were gonna create their own Netflix type of deal, and guess what? Yeah, they started saying the news. These bloggers started fluctuating the market and manipulating it. They were like, Disney's going to start there, and I think Disney actually said this, that they're going to make movies specifically for their next for their streaming, specifically for their streaming. So people were like, man, movies are going to go down. They're not even gonna, but you gotta remember that there's so many other companies that put movies out there. Even if Disney completely gets out of the market, of the theater market, so many other companies that are putting these good movies out there. And thankfully, I invested a crap load, and then the movie It came out, and then boom, the stock jumped up. And all my planning, all my work, I sold my stock of Regal after that happened. I made my money. Yes, it even went up even higher after that, but I made my money and I deleted it from my watch list because it's like a breakup. Sometimes you got to be uh, emotionally detached from what you're doing, especially in the stock market. You have to be emotionally detached. But I'll stop there. It's been 42 minutes. My bad, guys. If when once the other silvers come, once the other silvers, I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'm not a big fan of metals. I think it's more of a baby boomer type of deal. I just bought it just to kind of get a taste of what it is, and I bought it in the value that it is. Usually, silver tends to drop when there's a recession or when there's a market crash. So, but never ever ever buy silver at a premium price or over the spot price, the market value that is, because when you go to sell it, they don't care that you had this special edition Trump one where Melanie Trump and Trump was right there, or like it was a special edition Trump where he was in the bus and he was talking about somebody's vagina. Like they don't care, and they only made like two of them. Those people that are going to buy your silver are going to give you, sometimes they give you the market value, sometimes they go like 5% less or they go a percentage less. So when an emergency happens and you need to cash in your silver, you're not going to get that double the price, because I see some coins that are, the coin is $15, the actual value, but they're selling it for like $60. Get out of here. Get out of here. Funko's a good company, but all right, I'm gonna stop there. I'm not gonna keep going. Comment, like it if you like the videos. I hope the microphone is working because I messed with it. If you don't like it, please comment so I can change it up. And I apologize to like those one or two people that listen to my videos that are really big fans of me just straight out telling what it is, and then really short videos. Every now and then I get these hour long videos. But have a good one. I'll probably post up another video tonight.